Little bite, perfect, medium rare, the way I like it. Oh, juices are dripping off. There you go. So good. Still love it. After 7 months of carnivore, eating steaks very regularly because of the inexpensive way I can find my meats. Still look forward to my steak every day. So good. Love it.
Okay, welcome to part two. Here we go. On this video, I'm going to show you how to break down a 20-pound chuck roll and get quite a few different cuts out of it. This is a good way to buy meat in bulk and cut it yourself to have some great steaks at a very inexpensive cost, $4.99 a pound. It's pretty hard to beat that in most places. And if you like this video, make sure you stay to the end and get ready for part three. As soon as it goes live, we'll link to it and make sure you have a chance to watch it. Part three, we'll talk all about different things that we've learned, little shortcuts, tips and tricks, and why eating the carnivore lifestyle is actually cheaper than the standard American diet. In many respects, our grocery bills have come down, and we're going to show you how and why it works that way. Looking forward to that video coming out right now. Stay tuned for part two and enjoy.
All right, this is the chuck roll. This is a 20-pound chuck roll. This is another way we can save. This is just buy it whole and cut it up yourself. I have never done this before, but I'm not intimidated. I went to YouTube University and watched a little bit of training myself to figure out how to do this, and went to the butcher at Sam's and bought this one. This is 20 pounds or almost 20 pounds, $4.99 a pound. So it's really inexpensive cut. We're gonna get some chuck steaks out of this. We're gonna get some chuck roasts out of this. And then I'm really excited because I've never had the Denver steak, which that right there is the Denver steak. And we're gonna try and cut some Denver steaks out of that as well and see how it goes. So we're gonna test this. We're gonna try and go through it together, and I'll show you what I get out in the yield. All right, now the reason why the chuck is good, because this is actually where ribeyes end, and the chuck roast actually starts on this section here. So out of this portion right here is where we're gonna get some chuck steaks, and we'll separate right in between these two muscles right here. There's kind of a natural line right here, and I'm gonna try and get right in between there and pull this part out, and that's like almost like having a ribeye right here with this section back here. And then further back that we get, we're gonna get some more of the actual roasts. As I said before, this right here is the Denver. So you can kind of see where that separates as well. And so we'll keep the separation on there, and we're gonna see how it goes. All right, we're gonna start cutting. All right, so there is a bit of a natural seam in here, and all I've done is I've taken my fingers and tried to separate that a little bit and just kind of peel it back a little bit. Where I get stuck there, I just make a little bit of an incision, keep it coming back. But you can almost pull this apart with your hands, and that'll kind of separate those two areas right there. And that's where we're going to get the chuck ribeye portions pulled out. I'm just going to keep on going back there a little bit. All right, once we get most everything separated, I'm going to go right about to that far there, and I'm going to cut them straight down here, and that's going to get my these ribeye cuts. Now, but I did want to show something. This is something I am familiar with from before. This is called silver skin. When you see that skin, I don't know how well it'll show up on the camera, but see, it's real grainy. See some of it right here? That's stuff that I'll probably trim off. I'm not worried about the fat, of course. I'm going to leave that on there, but the silver skin that I can get off there, that does not render down. That's the part that gets real chewy inside of your steak. So if you have some of that, you can just trim off. No waste there. I wouldn't use it for anything. I'd toss it out. That's definitely waste. All right, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna just go, now that I've taken that section off there, I'm just gonna go ahead and go straight down all the way through, and we will split this into two. That's why I like the larger, I call it a butcher knife. I'm not sure exactly the technical name for it, but that works for me. This one's a very sharp knife. And we'll work on getting our Denver cuts off of this piece here in a little bit. Set this aside. The big piece that's left here is the what's left of the chuck roll. And this is what we're gonna get our thicker chuck steaks from. And so there's a couple ways we can do it. We can cut it right down the middle if you want to have big, thicker roasts. I actually want to make a couple of them into kind of 1-inch thick steaks. And so I'm going to see how that goes. I'm curious and I want to try it that way. So if you've bought these before at your Costco or Sam's, you can kind of recognize the cut there. They might go 2 inches thick for a big cut for a roast, but I'm going to go a little bit thinner on these because I'd like to see what happens on a couple of steaks, that's a lot of meat, but I eat a lot of meat. All right, we're going to go about 1 inch thick right here. Again, for this, you need a good sharp knife. It's very helpful. And the long knife is helpful too. So I'm going to get a big, thick one. And I'm going to do a couple of them for roast as well. There we go. But I'm very curious how that's going to be as a steak. Obviously that's big. I could probably cut that in half, but we're going to leave it like that for now because I'm going to be cooking for the family. And I'm going to do one more like that. Let's do another good 1 inch thick here. That one's a little bit thinner. That'll be for the ladies. Just kidding. That's for you, Kendall.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. All right, now I'm going to take these guys, and this is going to be our chuck roast. We're going to actually use this for our put into the slow cooker and make some roast meat out of. You could do stew meat, whatever else, but this makes nice. Cook it for 10 to 12 hours in the slow cooker, pull apart, just delicious goodness. There's lots of fat already in there, and maybe we'll show a recipe on that, or show us when we get the end results on those. But got a couple of nice, good chuck roasts and a couple of nice chuck steaks, which again, I'm anxious to see what happens when we throw that on the grill and cook that to about a medium rare. Probably be tough. This is definitely a tougher cut, but still tastes great. And maybe I'll do a future video and show you what end result was. Okay. This is the part I'm not 100% sure through. Yeah, that looks like it. That's what the Denver cut's gonna be. I'm gonna save this piece here, but I'm gonna cut these to about 1 inch thick. I think I can get several good steaks out of here. I've never tried these. I've heard several people on YouTube talk about the Denver cut and it being a really good cut because of the way the grains work, and there's some good natural marbling in there that will make a good steak. So we're gonna try those and see how we like the Denver cut, see if they turn out pretty well. And if that's the case, obviously I should get about, I don't know how far back this is gonna go, but I should get some decent cut steaks out of this. Again, remember $4.99 per pound. So it's not gonna be your highest quality, but some good beef steaks. So I'll show you the end result here in a moment once we get there. All right, so when we get about this far here, notice you can kind of see where the Denver cut was. This is the Denver cut. It's kind of, there's another fat seam that comes in here where that muscle's changing. This then is going to be turned more back into the chuck roast, and we'll do something different with that. But that's about the yield that I got out of the Denver cuts. As you can see on this side, that's where definitely the new muscle started there, and I got a little bit of that. So we'll see how that one is. But these ones all here should be what they call the Denver cut. So I got, how many did I get? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and a little bit more. So we'll see how they are. Anxious to cook those up and see how we like the Denver cut. All right, for the last bit, I'm just gonna cut this up because I like to have the stew meat chunks, something that are a little bit smaller that we can throw into the crock pot. If you like stews, you want to make a stew out of it, or just some, use some of your homemade beef broth, which I guess is another video we can try. Do some beef broth, make some nice chunks of meat in there, probably make a good soup for the winter. But just get yourself some nice big thicker chunks there of the steak that remains, and we'll slow cook those down, make sure they turn out nice and tender. Okay, remember the rib section we took out, the little eye of ribeye right here. That's what this is. I'm just going to cut these up same way, 1 inch thickness back this way. See how many good cuts we can get out of this, but this should yield 5 or 6 good steaks as well. That first one's going to be a little lopsided, kind of straightening the edge out of that one, but these ones all should be fairly good. Those thick ones like that, I like to say are mine because I like the thick. We'll see how those taste. They look good. So yeah, we got about 6 out of that one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and mine. That's why it's mine. Okay. All right, so here's where we're finished. We had about 20 pounds of meat. I got 2 nice big chuck roasts out of that we're gonna do that. I had the 6 Denver cuts right there. Nice portion of stew meat, or if you have a grinder, which I don't have yet, you could also grind this, make your own hamburger meat. And I got 2 of the chuck steaks that I'm anxious to try. So we're gonna try those, see how that goes. And then I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the ribeye eye of rounds. So looking good. All right, so there we have it. That's my first time. I wasn't intimidated, got after it. You can do the same thing. Again, this is $4.99 a pound, which is a lot cheaper than what you'd pay if you were just to have a butcher do it and cut their own steaks. Now, of course, chuck is a cheaper cut of steak, but we'll see how they taste. I'll give you a future update video, let you know how we did on them, show you the results after we get them cooked up. They're a little bit smaller. That's all right. I cooked 2 of them. I'm not scared, but they are delish. I was really impressed. And this is the one of the steaks I got off of the chuck roll. Yum, yum. I'll show you what it looks like. All right, try to do this here. Here we go. Little bite, perfect, medium rare, the way I like it. Oh, juices are dripping off. Very good. So good. Still love it. After 7 months of carnivore, eating steaks very regularly because of the inexpensive way I can find my meats. Still look forward to my steak every day. So good. Love it.
All right, thanks for watching, and hope you liked it. Hope you learned a little bit of something, and honestly, don't be scared. You can do that too. That was my first time doing it, and thought it wasn't too bad. I'll have another video after this of how to break down my wife and my daughter's favorite cut, and that's the fillet. The fillet can be bought in a whole loin. Generally, it's several dollars cheaper, sometimes up to $10 cheaper per pound. If you buy it, trim it, cut it yourself, and it's not that difficult. I'll show you how in an upcoming video. Stay tuned. Part 3 is coming out soon. More tips and tricks, what we've learned on the carnivore lifestyle, how to eat less expensively than the standard American diet. Hope you'll watch that as soon as it comes out. Thanks again for watching this one. Appreciate all the love and support.